If I lost everything tomorrow, my savings, my investments, my income, and had to rebuild my entire financial life from zero, there are only 5 passive income investments I would trust enough to start again. Not because they're flashy. Honestly, most of them are painfully boring, and that's exactly why they work. Because after spending years studying money psychology, wealth behavior, and why some people slowly become financially free while others stay financially trapped forever, I've noticed something uncomfortable. The investments people brag about the most are usually not the investments quietly building real freedom. Real wealth rarely looks impressive while it's being built. In fact, most of the time, it looks invisible. And if you've ever felt financially behind, financially anxious, or secretly afraid your entire life depends on your next paycheck, then this video is probably more important than you realize. Because the real purpose of passive income isn't becoming lazy, it's reducing fear. It's building a life where your survival slowly becomes less dependent on constant labor. And once that starts happening, your entire relationship with money changes. My name is Zach, and I spend an unhealthy amount of time thinking about money psychology, compounding, wealth behavior, and why some people quietly build financial freedom over time, while others stay trapped in financial stress despite earning good money. Because once you understand how passive income actually works psychologically, you stop chasing exciting money and start building stable systems instead. And ironically, those stable systems are usually what create the most freedom later. If I had to rebuild everything tomorrow, the very first passive income investment I'd start again would be low-cost index funds. Not crypto, not options trading, not trying to predict the next Nvidia, just boring index funds. And I know, that answer sounds deeply disappointing compared to what the internet wants you to hear. Because social media has psychologically trained people to believe wealth should feel exciting. Fast trades, huge wins, overnight success. But real wealth creation usually feels repetitive, quiet, almost anticlimactic. That's what makes it difficult psychologically, because at the beginning, index fund investing feels incredibly slow. You put in money, the account barely moves, the gains feel tiny. Sometimes the market drops and wipes out months of progress emotionally overnight. And most people quit right there, not because the strategy failed, because emotionally, the progress feels disconnected from the effort. But here's what people miss. When you buy index funds, you are quietly buying ownership in hundreds of productive companies at once. You are buying pieces of businesses constantly generating profits while you sleep. That matters because eventually, those small gains begin stacking on top of each other. Then those gains begin generating their own gains. And eventually, the system starts helping you. That's the moment investing stops feeling motivational and starts feeling mathematical. Warren Buffett once said the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. And honestly, that might be one of the most psychologically accurate financial quotes ever spoken. Because patience is the real investment advantage most people never develop. Not intelligence, not prediction, emotional endurance, the ability to stay consistent long enough for compounding to become visible. That's why I'd start here again first. Because index funds are not exciting, they're reliable. And over long enough periods, reliability quietly becomes powerful. The second passive income investment I'd rebuild would be cash flowing real estate. And notice I said cash flowing, not luxury real estate. Not giant houses bought for status. That's a completely different psychological game. Most people buy homes emotionally. Wealthy people often buy assets strategically. Huge difference. Because the real power of real estate isn't looking successful. It's owning something that can continue producing income long after the work is finished, especially during inflation. As prices rise, rents usually rise too, which means the asset slowly helps protect your future purchasing power automatically. That matters more than most people realize, because inflation quietly destroys people who rely entirely on active income. Now obviously, real estate has risks, bad tenants, maintenance, market cycles, unexpected repairs at the worst possible moment. But psychologically, there's something incredibly powerful about owning assets that continue producing value over time, especially assets people will likely always need: housing, shelter, space. And this is where modern culture confuses people badly. A luxury apartment with massive payments can make someone appear wealthy, while quietly increasing financial fragility underneath. Meanwhile, someone owning modest rental properties may look less impressive publicly, while becoming financially stronger privately every year. That's the hidden difference between looking rich and building freedom. One creates pressure, the other reduces it. The third passive income investment I'd rebuild might surprise some people. Digital assets. Things like YouTube channels, online education, digital products, newsletters, content libraries, systems that continue generating value long after the initial work is done. And before this starts sounding like fake internet guru advice, let me clarify something important. Most digital income starts painfully slow, embarrassingly slow. At first, nobody watches, nobody clicks, nobody cares. You spend hours building things that make almost no money initially, and psychologically, that phase destroys most people because humans naturally want immediate feedback for effort. But digital assets reward delayed compounding almost more aggressively than anything else in modern life. One video, one article, one useful system can continue helping people for years. That's incredible leverage. You work once, but the asset keeps working repeatedly. And the internet has quietly created something historically unusual: the ability for ordinary people to build scalable assets from their bedrooms. That opportunity did not exist for most humans historically. But again, the problem is psychological. People quit before momentum arrives because modern culture trains people to expect explosive success immediately, and real wealth almost never works like that. The internet rewards consistency far more than intensity. That's what most people misunderstand. The fourth passive income investment I'd rebuild would be dividend growth stocks. And psychologically, this one matters more than people think, because there's something emotionally different about assets actually paying you regularly, even if the payments start small. A dividend payment feels different psychologically than hoping an investment rises someday. It feels tangible, visible, real, and over time, those dividends can become surprisingly powerful. Especially when reinvested consistently, because then the dividends start buying more dividend-producing assets, which then create even more income, which then buys even more shares. It becomes a financial snowball, slow initially, then increasingly difficult to stop. And honestly, I think one of the most underrated feelings in personal finance is receiving money without panic attached to it. No overtime, no emergency side hustle, no desperation, just assets quietly producing cash flow in the background. That changes people emotionally, because financial stress slowly decreases when your survival no longer depends entirely on your next paycheck. And once stress decreases, decision quality usually improves too. You think longer term, you negotiate differently, you stop making fear-based financial decisions constantly. That's why passive income matters psychologically, not because it creates instant luxury, because it slowly reduces emotional fragility. Now this final one technically isn't passive income initially, but if I lost everything tomorrow, it might actually be the most important investment of all. Skills. Especially skills that increase future cash flow, communication, writing, sales, negotiation, AI systems, content creation, business systems, because the most dangerous financial position in modern life is having only one way to make money. That creates vulnerability, and vulnerable people often make desperate decisions. But people with adaptable skills have options, and options create resilience, which creates confidence, which changes behavior. And behavior quietly shapes entire financial futures. That's why wealthy people often invest heavily in learning, not because education guarantees money, because useful skills compound too. A person who communicates better, can negotiate better, sell better, build relationships better, lead better, create opportunities better. Those advantages stack over decades, and eventually, small skill advantages can completely change someone's financial trajectory. That's why I'd rebuild skills aggressively if I had to start over, because assets matter, but the ability to continuously create value matters too. Now here's the part most passive income videos completely misunderstand. Passive income is not really about escaping work, it's about reducing fear, reducing desperation, reducing dependency on constant survival mode. Because when every dollar of your existence depends entirely on your labor, life feels psychologically fragile. One layoff, one recession, one medical issue, one bad year, and suddenly everything feels unstable. But when assets slowly begin helping carry the weight, your relationship with uncertainty changes. You breathe differently. You think differently. You stop panicking financially over every inconvenience. That's real wealth, not status symbols, not looking rich online. Emotional stability, future flexibility, the ability to choose differently. That's what passive income quietly buys over time. So if I lost everything tomorrow, these are the 5 passive income investments I would rebuild first. Index funds, cash flowing real estate, digital assets, dividend growth stocks, and high income skills. Not because they're trendy, because they survive, and because over long enough periods, they slowly reduce financial fear while increasing future freedom. That's the real goal. Not impressing strangers, not pretending to be wealthy online. Building a life where money stops controlling every decision emotionally. And ironically, that kind of wealth usually grows quietly at first, almost invisibly, until one day, it suddenly doesn't. If this changed the way you think about passive income, stick around. This channel is about money psychology, wealth behavior, financial freedom, and the invisible decisions quietly shaping your future years before most people notice the difference. If you gain knowledge by this video, like the video, subscribe the channel, and comment. If you had to rebuild your financial life from zero tomorrow, which passive income investment would you start first?